Right, we're on. Finally sorted. A hello to our TV listeners. TV listeners? TV viewers.
TV little.
Ian saying 1 minute. That's perfect.
The 5 that are going to be watching it because they're not watching Brazil.
Yeah. I've got to tweet out.
They might have picture in picture. You don't know.
They might.
They might actually. That's a good point, yeah.
Nah, I don't think they will.
I can always watch it afterwards, can't I? Yeah,
So there was no budget to take this show to Qatar and have it live? No?
No, unfortunately there wasn't.
Not sure I want to go there anyway. I mean, it's on paid me to go there, but they get criticised for going, don't they? Oh.
Good evening, everyone. We're finally on. Welcome to the Grassroots Football Show here on East London Radio and live on our YouTube channel. It is Thursday, the 24th of November, and it's great to be back on the show. Just before we start, just want to make a quick apology for the last couple of weeks. Various factors have been obviously why we haven't been able to do the show. Obviously, we have got producer Ian here as well. Ian, I know obviously last couple of weeks has been an absolute nightmare technically as well with streaming the servers, isn't it? So we've had real issues, haven't we? So
yeah, definitely.
And then on top of that, I've been ill. Martin and Damo have been busy. Pete's been trying to find his Viking self again. Bless him. It's just a combination of factors that unfortunately can't be helped. At the end of the day, as people know, we're all volunteers, so and we'll all have our own lives and things on. But honestly, the last 2 or 3 weeks, as Ian will tell you, there's been a lot of technical problems. There's been a lot of technical gremlins, as we nearly had tonight as well. But luckily, thank God, we've got through them, haven't we? So what's been happening, Ian? I think it's just been server and software issues, isn't there?
Yeah. A server at the people who kind of stick it all together, their server went down. So we had to get a new URL, which was pointing at all the apps we're on. We're on about 12 apps.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, well, the mobile phone app to listen.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
all of those are dead now, right? But we've got some new ones coming. So anyone who can't find us, just look on Twitter. You'll see the link for the 2 apps we're on right now, and hopefully loads more this week. It's been a nightmare.
It's been a nightmare. That's why we haven't been on. But yeah, and obviously, I thought the thing is, what listeners don't really, obviously viewers don't understand as well. We actually are one of the few shows that do live. There's people that obviously do shows that have got the ability to record it and things like that. Now, it's very difficult for us to record something when something could be happening. So it's difficult to record us at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning when you've got Tuesday night games and this and that. So it's very, very, we're in a very small window when we can actually do it. So I hope people understand. And we'll be back. We're back if you're listening or watching. Joining us this evening is our returning Viking himself. It's the one, the only Mr. Peter Dudley. How are you, Peter?
Good dog.
Have you got your Vikings hat?
Well, I thought I was being Norwegian for a bit. It's been good. Very good. Yeah. Back. I've already done 2 days of work and I'm already exhausted, but hey ho, what you got to do, isn't it? So
yeah. Mum and brother and niece and nephew, okay?
Yeah, all fine. Yeah, I'm good.
Good. I see your niece and nephew have got really big, haven't they? They've shot up. Yeah,
that's what happens. They just suddenly grow, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's still all good over there. So
definitely. Thanks for being here, obviously, Pete, and obviously joining us this evening. We have got the legend and good friend of the show that is the Essex Alliance Leagues, Mr. Rob Parker.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me on once again.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We've got a lot coming up this evening. We've got some live draws for you on the show. The cup draws, not Martin's curtains.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, although Rob's got better curtains by the looks of it than mine.
I've got some curtains. Yeah.
Yeah, they're better than mine.
I haven't got any curtains.
Yeah. Ian's probably got better
blinds.
ones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but yeah, we've got cup draws as well. We're going to obviously have a chat about the World Cup, and we're obviously going to talk about the FA Cup as well, because there's some big ties this weekend involving non-league clubs, and I know Pete loves chatting about the FA Cup, so we'll be talking all about that. So Rob, we've got, how many draws have we got to do? It's
6 in total tonight.
Blimey. So what we're going to do, we're going to split them. I think we're going to do 3 about 7:30, and then we're going to have a little chat more, and then we're going to have do the others about 8:30, 8:45.
Yeah, we don't want to get all drawn out, do we? So.
Oh,
Oh.
oh God. Okay.
I'm logging off.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, let's obviously for the first few minutes of the show, we'll have obviously talk about it on and off during the evening. Let's have a chat about obviously the tournament that's really grabbing all the headlines at the moment. A lot of it, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons, but we won't go into politics on this program. Is the World Cup now? Currently, if you're in a completely different stratosphere to us, it's Brazil 0, Serbia 0. In the just hit 15 minutes on my clock, because on BBC One.
Yeah, so don't tell me I'm 20 seconds behind you. So
okay, all right. Okay, right. Well, Pete's in a different time zone. Know what Essex is at. But yeah, so the World Cup's here, guys. Your thoughts on the football, on the game so far? Because some of them, I think have been a really interesting watch.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think there's just been enough really to keep you interested. I mean, there's been a few dull games, there's been a couple of 0-0s already, hasn't there? But there's just been enough close games and a few, obviously, a couple of well appointed shocks that have taken place, just to kind of keep everybody thinking, wow, anything's possible in a World Cup, because the teams who ought to be winning, well, some of them are, and some of them are not. So far, interesting competition.
Hey.
Yeah, it's been a few surprises. Well, more so than Saudi Arabia and Japan, but and I picked Argentina to win it, and they lost to Saudi Arabia. So that's why I never bet. That's why I never bet on football or anything, because I'm no good. I just lose money all the time.
If you look at the Argentina-Saudi game, do you think there may have been more different factors, obviously, that could have contributed to that? Because Argentina are good. Everyone's hyping up Messi, but don't forget, for the Saudis, that is in a sense one like a home game for them, because obviously they're next door to Qatar. That's a bit like that, borders like England and Scotland. And secondly, I know they've obviously got the air conditioners in the stadiums, that the Saudis can adapt to the conditions, the training conditions, and everything around it more than the Argies can. And if you see my point.
I see your point, but I don't buy into all that, because they've been out there training for. I just don't. You can't use that as an excuse, because it is what it is. You can't. I still don't think anyone would expect your Saudis to beat Argentina. So, and Argentina, I mean, they had about 6 offsides in the first half. They seem to forget what the offside rule was, but
yeah, they don't look down the line, do they?
They got caught offside. So I mean, if that second goal stands, I think it's game over.
Yeah.
And they've held their line for half a yard. They could have been 3 or 4 up at half time. So it's just, and they got caught cold at the start of second half. They were 2-1 down before they knew it, and they just couldn't recover. So on another day they could have easily won that game. The Saudis just dug in and they got a really good win. So it's all margins, isn't it?
Rob, does Saudis and Arabia's and Japan's wins show that, one, there's no easy games at this World Cup, and 2, even if you're one of the big favourites, if you get complacent, you're going to come unstuck?
Well, I mean, absolutely. That they've had to come through their own qualifying competition, and although many of us won't follow the Asian qualifying competition for the World Cup, these are the best sides from Asia, and they're there for a reason. They haven't got the household names that a lot of the other countries have, but there's a sprinkling of talent in top leagues around Europe. Even some of the players play in Europe, so I just think that these are teams who will go out in these games and think there's nothing to lose. We may as well throw everything out there, for them, Argentina was their cup final. It was their World Cup final in many respects. So once they got a foothold in the game, and it did take them a little while to do it, when they got that second goal, which was a brilliant goal, they just defended for their lives after that. They had something to defend, and by God, they did. That they were excellent at holding the lead they had. But I mean, there are definitely going to be some more shocks. I mean, it does seem at the moment to be coming from the Asian sides, although typically you might see the odd 1 or 2 wins from the African teams, who also generally go under the radar. But it'd be interesting to see, particularly in the group stage, how many of these sides can get out of the group, really, because there's a few that are looking like getting out of the group that we probably wouldn't have predicted at the start.
I mean, what you just said there about the African teams and that, the Portugal-Ghana game just sum that up, because that was a very, very close game and shows how good the African teams can be. Senegal as well, and obviously Cameroon, they might have, it was 2-0 the Senegal game, but it wasn't until the last 5 minutes that that Senegal obviously conceded, obviously 1-0 to Switzerland earlier. So it's not like the African teams are being outplayed, is it? So that's all.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of attacking flair from a lot of them, though. A lot of them have been. I mean, the Senegal game, Senegal might have had a couple of chances, but they were largely seem to be defending a bit, and the same with Cameroon today. I don't know. You expect the African teams to come out. I suppose you're not going to come out all guns blazing in your first group game against good sides, but you got to win. I mean, Ghana did second half today. They've managed to give it a game and almost got a point after the Portuguese keeper, almost an absolute howler at the end. But thing is, I watched. If anyone who watched the Africa Cup of Nations would know that there's probably a handful of teams in Africa that are any good, and then there's a lot of very bad ones. And I'm not being horrible to the continent. I'm just saying that that's the facts. That's the facts are right there. So, they don't. Yeah, I think people hype African football up a bit too much at times because they think it's better than it is. But
yeah.
So they're never really. I mean, they were the first goals an African team has scored this year's World Cup, and that was the 5th one that I played. So, they need to. I don't know. There's some good players in Africa, but they're still a bit behind other continents, shall we say?
Yeah, and I've also obviously found out as well. We know the World Cup final is going to be taking place on the 18th. Is it the 18th of December? I think. Yeah. I've seen tonight. I have actually seen a leaked memo from FIFA confirming that due to all the stoppage time added on, etc., that the World Cup final will be finishing at 1:12 on New Year's Eve.
I was going to say, the way it's going.
That's the way it's going at the moment.
That's the other thing that's really frustrating me. I know they're trying to stop time wasting, but you're telling me that every game, there's some of these games they're adding on 10 minutes stoppage time. There's no way there's that many stoppages.
I think they're adding every single little. Which I can see, bro. Right? Really.
I don't like it though. It does me head in. It's like you get to the end of the game, you've still got 9-10 minutes left. It's not what possible. I mean, some of I swear it's just a gimmick. So I don't think how is this going to if this infiltrates to all football, then I think it's just because there's still time wasting anyway, even when they're adding the time on. It's not going to stop it.
Yeah.
So I think it's ridiculous, but that's just my view.
I was thinking the other day actually that if they had those rules for some of the teams in League One, and I'll be honest, I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to call out a couple of the teams here, Lincoln and Oxford in particular. If they'd done that, we'd be here till blooming next week playing. About some of them time wasting that they both do.
It won't stop people time wasting. It's like when they try to bring that, that 10-metre rule in they're having rugby. They tried that in football for a season, and that just didn't work because you won't stop players moaning at the ref. They'll back chat the ref, whatever you do. I know they've got the sin bin thing in the lower steps of non-league, but they still don't have that above step 5. So I don't know. I'd say some things in football will just be there because it's just the nature of the game. You can't compare it to other sports because it's just not the same. It's not the same mentality, unfortunately. So, I just think it's another thing FIFA trying to force that, but it's not gonna solve an issue. It's just gonna make the games 100+ minutes every time. Which, do you really want that?
Yes.
I could go on all night about it if I wanted, but I'm not going to.
Yes. Okay. Well, obviously closer to home, we have two British sides obviously participating in the World Cup this year. And speaking of that, I must say, are you watching Northern Ireland? Evening, Charlotte.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're in trouble now.
Yeah, 1982. Yeah, so obviously England and Wales, obviously in the same group. England got their campaign off to a great start on Monday, 6-2 victory over Iran. I'll be honest, some of the football that England played was out of this world. And some of the goals were brilliant as well. Rob sported his England shirt there tonight. Yeah. Now, Rob, I'll just ask you, I thought England, as I say, played really well, but there was a little bit, again, I think, as I said, with the Argentina and the Germany games, there's a little bit of complacency creeped in there, and Iran capitalised on that, although it wasn't a penalty, though. Harry Maguire's was more of a penalty than that one.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the forward play. I mean, it took a little while to get the game going. I mean, obviously not helped by the early injury to the goalkeeper. But once we scored, and we scored pretty quickly after as well. Yeah, we looked very, very tasty going forward for sure, and knocking the ball around and finding pockets of space against a side who are inside the top 20 in the world. So potentially they are Asia's best team. But obviously didn't really show that a great deal on the day. Yeah, cutting through them very, very easily. A few issues at the back, I would say, for us. I definitely think we are going to struggle against some of the better sides in the central defensive area, which I think is why Southgate will go for it at the back for the bigger games to give that extra man cover. But if we can play as well in an attacking sense as we did against Iran, we should score goals against most teams. It's just how early we can break teams down. And I think it was key to get the goal at the time we did, and it just made the game a lot easier. So good start. But obviously for me, the biggest test in the group is the game tomorrow night.
I disagree with that. I think the biggest test will be on Tuesday against Wales, because Battle of Britain, it's a derby. They're going to be right up for it, and especially I would expect England to beat America. I would expect Wales to beat Iran. And then you've got a conundrum here. England are through. Do we rest a few and then let Wales go through with us? We're not going to want to lose. They're going to want to have the possible incentive of finishing above England. So I think Wales, because of obviously, if you look back at the Scotland game last year as well, in the Euros, that's why I think Tuesday will be a harder game than tomorrow. Much harder.
But I just think that we're going to get the result tomorrow, and it will take a lot of heat off of that game for us. I know what you're saying. They could end up pipping us by a point if they were to beat Iran. But I can see us getting a draw against Wales. Definitely. They're going to be, because they're a British side, they're going to match us in many, many ways that other teams won't. But I think we'll probably edge tomorrow's game. I like to think. And then probably I would like to, well, at least a draw, obviously, against Wales will see us through as winners.
Yeah, I'm just watching this replay, to be honest. If anyone's got it in the background or anything, I've seen penalties in this World Cup given for a lot less than that. Pete, would you agree?
What, for this through ball?
No, for where the goalkeeper caught his foot just now in the penalty area.
The goalie got the ball. No, that's not a penalty. If that's a penalty, I'll give up watching football.
I think I've seen penalties for a lot less than that.
The keeper got both his hands to the ball and pushed the ball away, and then the player goes over him after. So the keeper's won the ball, yet it's still a penalty. No, it's not a penalty. It's never a penalty.
You never know with VAR these days, do you?
Well, if they start giving penalties for that, then they might as well just
game's gone.
Just give up, yeah, because the keeper's got the ball. But yeah,
Pete, England, your thoughts on England, and obviously we'll mention Wales as well. Good 1-1 draw against America. Can we both go through?
Well, England going forward against Iran, after we took the lead, we looked good. I think we of all the teams I've seen in the tournament, I think we look one of the better teams so far. I've not been impressed by that many, to be fair. I mean, there's been a lot of teams that have, they're still feeling their way into it. England, they came out. Well, that's how we want England to play. They've been so like defensive minded, haven't they, the last few months? Until that Germany game, we drew 3-3 at Wembley. It was, and that's kind of what we saw the attacking play. I mean, Jude Bellingham, he needs to play every game because the guy is an absolute star. And I've heard things about if we play against better teams, he might play holding midfielders and he wouldn't get a game. And I just think that's ridiculous because you need him in the side. But and players like players like Raheem Sterling have come alive again. They always seem to come alive at a major tournament at the moment, and there are so many players. I was looking at our midfield, and I was thinking that is some midfield we've got there. If you saw that midfield in any other international team, like you'd be going, "Oh, they're a good team, aren't they?" We never give our own players enough credit. I think we have got a fantastic side, but it's Iran. Can't get too carried away. How Iran are ranked 20th in the world, I have no clue. Because they're just, no disrespect to Iran, but we're way too good for them at times. We're so much quicker on the ball. They're not used to that sort of pace. They just can't cope with it. Because it's like the Premier League is so quick, and those players all play in the Premier League, and apart from Bellingham, obviously plays in Germany, but they just couldn't live with us at times, and it makes a mockery of the rankings. To be fair, I mean, how they're the best ranked team from Asia, I've got no idea. But obviously Wales have them next, and I think Iran have to improve. I mean, they can't play any worse than they did at times in that game. They scored a couple of goals. The second goal obviously was in the 217th minute of stoppage time, but, which really annoyed me. I was really annoyed when I saw that goal. It shouldn't even happen because you shouldn't be playing at that point. Because they played nearly half an hour extra time in the whole game. That's a whole extra time period they played. But it's just, the first half I can kind of understand because the keeper was down for about 10 minutes. So that's but to add on 12 minutes in the second half, I don't know where he got that from, but. So I think overall it was a good performance. I mean, if you win your opening game 6-2, you can't really moan too much. You can pick and holes in things and different things. Yes, defensively at times we were sloppy, but we scored 6 goals, and you can't really be too critical of that because we've struggled to beat teams like that in the past by that sort of scoreline. So. To touch on Wales, obviously, who have Iran next. First half the other day, they were awful, and they can't start they need to start better than that against Iran, because I just think Iran they've got to basically try and win, because Iran, if they lose, they're pretty much out, aren't they? So, Wales improved after half time, but they're a much better team than what they've showed. I think. USA and Wales will play a heck of a lot better than they did in that game against England, because it's England. They're just obviously England, USA is always, we always have fun playing against the Americans in whatever it is, tiddlywinks, whatever it is. They're always going to be competitive. And obviously Wales is it's a battle of Britain, isn't it? So. And even if we've won both games and we're already through, there's no way he's going to rest players against Wales. We do not want to lose to Wales. There's just no way. If you lose the last group game, you lose momentum going into the knockout stage.
Especially in a derby like that as well.
You can't. You've just got to keep your foot on the throttle. You've got to keep pushing, because that's what all the best teams do. Definitely. So. If you win your first 2 games comfortably and then you lose your third one because you rested players, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me. So it's going to be full throttle for all 3 games. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll come back to the World Cup and other things shortly, but now we're going to start the draws for the Essex Alliance League Cup competition. So, without further ado, Mr. Rob Parker, I'll let you take it away.
Indeed. Okay, well, we've gone all technical with this one. The first ever live draw using some streaming software. I hope your eyesight's good for those of you who are watching. Adam or Pete, would you like to read out these as they come up, or do you want me to do it?
I'm gonna have to make you a bit bigger. I don't know. Hang on, let me switch. Let me switch this to view. Here we go. View.
If you pin my video.
Yeah, pin.
Literally technology going live on here.
Here we go. Remove pin video. Right. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to start with the we're going to do it in reverse order tonight, as we typically do. So we're going to start with the Division 4 Cup. So as we'll read them out, Adam will read them out, and I'll put the names in the boxes on the screen, so you'll be able to see which teams are who's going to play who. The grey ones obviously are the buys in essence. Yeah. So we'll just go through and put them up in order. All right. Okay,
I'll see if I can keep up with this. We'll start with the aptly named Collier Row Wheels. I wonder if that's it was their idea to do this. Avondale Rangers, West Essex under-23s, Romford under-19s, Old Estamians Reserves, Newham Havering Borough, London APSA under-23s, Inter London, Flyers under-23s, Fairlock Rovers Reserves, and Emerson and Upminster.
Okay, we'll spin the wheel for the first time. Let's make sure this works.
Spin the wheel. Whoa. That's Avondale Rangers.
So they come up there in the first round.
Okay.
So they have a bye, of course, through to the quarterfinals, as you can see.
And they will, the next team out is Inter London. And they're at home to... Ooh, okay.
Newham Havering Borough, that one.
Newham Havering Borough, yeah. Okay, the next team will receive a bye. It's Old Estamians Reserves. And the next team that will also receive a bye, Emerson and Upminster Reserves. So basically, them two will play each other in the quarterfinal. Flyers under-23s. I also have a bye there through to the quarterfinals, and in that one they will play the winners of this tie. First, you got Collier Row Wheels there at home. And they will play Fairlock Rovers Reserves. London APSA's under-23s that get a bye through. And it's Romford under-19s against West Essex's under-23s. Bit of an Essex Senior League derby there.
Yeah, I won't spin the wheel on the last one. Seems a bit pointless there, doesn't it? Okay, so hopefully you can all see those draws on the screen. So we will move on now into the Division 3 Cup. I'll just reset the wheel. That's working well so far.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, so similar thing with the Division 3 Cup. So we'll start straight away. Oh, do you want to read out the teams, Adam, first?
Pete, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll just say you've got Romford under-21s, Newbury East, Melbourne Sports, Yoleth Sports Reserves. Oh, Glendale, it's Rob's team. Brentford A, football. So I'm reading this on
football club of Riverside.
Football Club of Riverside. Flyers under-21s. Is that? I can't read it.
Yeah.
Dagenham United Reserves, Chingford Harriers, Buckhurst Way. Those are your teams that are in the draw for Division 3.
I love how Pete had to twist his laptop around there to see those on the wheel.
I literally can't read the wheel very well, so I can read. I can see the draw things though. So we'll get on with this draw and see what happens.
Okay, away we go with the first one.
So this team will receive a bye to the quarterfinals, and that is Flyers under-23s. So they're
under-21s.
Sorry, under-21s. Yeah, they're in the quarterfinals. The next game will be is Newbury East are at home. And they will play Dagenham United reserves. Melbourne Sports will receive a bye through to the quarterfinals. And their quarterfinal opponent will be Chingford Harriers, as they also receive a bye. So that's a quarterfinal lineup there, Melbourne Sports and Chingford Harriers. The next team to receive a bye is Frenford A. So they're into the quarterfinals. And then the next first round tie will be Glendale.
Oh, home tie. Well done,
Pete. Home tie for you. And you will play at home. Romford under 21s. Okay. The last team to receive a bye into the quarterfinals will be Football Club of Riverside. And they will take on the winners of the next first round tie, which is Buckhurst Way at home to Yolliffe Sports Reserves. And that's your Division 3 Cup draw.
Okay. Hopefully you're all looking at that one on the screen. Oh, these will all be on the website at some point tomorrow in case you missed it. We move on now to the final one for this section, which is the Division 2 Cup.
I'm back, so I'll happily take this one. These are the teams for the Division 2 Cup. You have got Linmore Gardens Reserves, FC Barasey under 23s, Chadwell Heath Spartans Reserves, Barking Potters, Woodford East Reserves, St Francis, Snaresbrook, Royal Forest, Redbridge Community, Raynham Phoenix, and Old Barcavians.
Okay, so same format. We'll get on with the draw.
Barking Potters, they go straight through to the quarterfinals. Linmore Gardens Reserves are the home side in the next time. And they'll play Redbridge Community. Next side will receive the bye. It's Chadwell Heath Spartans Reserves. And they go through to the quarterfinal where they'll actually play FC Barasey under 23s because they get a bye straight through. So that's one quarterfinal tie sorted. Raynham Phoenix, they go through, rise from the ashes to go through into the quarterfinals. Old Barcavians are at home. Against Royal Forest. Next side gets a bye. It's Woodford East Reserves. And the final tie, Snaresbrook. And I'm not sure who they got in their game. Can you tell us, Pete? Who have they got?
Right, I guess.
Don't know. St Francis. Yeah.
There's the one team left on the wheel.
Okay, so that concludes the draw for the Division 2 Cup and concludes this section of the show.
Yes. Okay. Right. So now I need to unpin you. Yes. Done. Right. So yeah, that's the first three draws. So after 8:30 quarter-to-9, what are the other draws that we got, Rob?
We've got Division 1 Cup, the Premier Cup, which is quite a large cup this year because it combines the East and the West Division, and of course the Senior Cup, which is our midweek competition that will also start in the new year.
Okay, yeah. So we're looking forward to doing that. While the draw's been done, a shout out to the missus, by the way. She said to remind us that she said that Northern Ireland actually beat England's greatest team never to win a trophy.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll give her that, but I think David Healy scored, didn't he?
Yeah, 1-0 in Belfast.
That's when Sven was manager.
Yeah. We remember.
Well, David Healy's played for Norwich, so I'll let him off.
Yeah. So that's part of the all done. The only thing we need to make this draw a lot better is with the wheel is get Nikki Campbell and Jenny Powell on to do it. as well. Wheel of Fortune.
Once the budget allows, more than happy.
I can afford that. We need to find a really big sponsorship to do that.
Definitely. Yeah. As Rob alluded to before we come on air as well, the budget doesn't allow us to go to Qatar to broadcast live, I'm afraid. We'll just have to. Yeah. The nearest we'll get to sand is the beach at the end of Peach Road.
Yeah. I'm nearest to sand here. Well, sand in inverted commas.
Well, I tell you what we could do for next week. We'll just send Pete down the beach, in his summer wear and just pretend he's in Qatar.
Yeah, that's gonna work. Yeah, I'm not going out there if it's like it is now.
You'll be freezing.
I'll probably get blown to Qatar, to be honest. Because it's so windy out there. Well, it was windy out there. So.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick music break, and then back in a couple of minutes we'll talk more World Cup, FA Cup, and everything else back here, and in a couple of minutes on GFS. On the radio, by the way. TV will still be here.
And to talk like me, be an angel too.
Yes, thanks, Rob.
My pleasure. That worked okay, didn't it?
That did okay. Yes, like the Wheel of Fortune, but there you go.
Yeah. Saves me having to get the old ping pong balls out.
Oh God, do you remember them? Yeah. So absolute madness. So those who may not be or may not be watching the game, it's an absolute miracle. I've just seen on here only 1 minute of added time.
Hey, what? Only a minute
of added time in the Brazil game, and considering Brazil and Serbia two of the worst time wasters in football, I'm blooming surprised at that one. Sorry to anyone who's Brazilian and Serbian watching. So yeah, just obviously while we're on the break, quick chat about this game. I'm not surprised at this because obviously we know the quality that Brazil possess, but at the same time, Serbia have got a lot of, excuse me for saying this, kick, bollock and bite about them, haven't they? And Mitrovic as well, very steely, kick, bollock and bite type team. So I'm not surprised as it is at the moment, to be honest.
No, I mean, we've got a fair few clubs in our league that are from Eastern Europe, and what those sides do give you from everybody is 100% effort. They run hard. They don't stop for 90 minutes, whether they're winning or they're losing. They will give you a tough game, and I think that's exactly the kind of way that Serbia have gone about this. Rightly so. If that's their style, stick with it. Yeah,
definitely. And by the way, what I said about their style, kick, bollock, and bite, that's actually a compliment because it's actually a compliment to the way to a lot of those teams play. Which it is, and do you know what it is? I've noticed with a lot of the likes of the FC Romanias of the past and Petra Cubs and Rapid Chinkfas, it usually, most of the time, works in their favour, and it's good to their good effect. Yeah, because
if you can imagine what Brazil would not want to face, you'd imagine it would be that, wouldn't you? You know, they're trying to play quick football to be kicked up in the air, so to speak. Probably not as harsh as that, but it is the kind of thing that would get in their mind, I think. So yeah, absolutely. I think if it's not necessarily the purest kind of football, but I'm sure we'd probably doing a disservice because a lot of these players are top flight players in countries around Europe. But in essence, yes, they're trying to make the most of the ability that they've got in that squad.
Yeah, there's a Qatari bloke in the crowd of Brazil fans wearing an Argentina shirt. Someone better have a word with him because I think he's a braver man than me. Put it that way.
I think they're not Brazilian either around him.
Yes, Pete, your camera's off.
You turned it off, it says.
Oh, there you go. I'll ask you to start the video. He's back.
I'm going to get a drink.
Oh, yeah?
I went to get a drink, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It said 1 minute of stoppage time.
Yeah.
In the first half, there'd be about 9.
Things can only get better here on GFS. Welcome back. For those who just may have missed it for the radio listeners, Brazil-Serbia only had 1 minute of stoppage time, which, considering I'm very surprised at that. Pete, are you?
It says a lot, and I never thought I'd be talking about the amount of stoppage time added on the end of each half as being one of the biggest talking points for the World Cup. It just shows how well the game's going so far.
But perhaps the match officials are being paid by the minute this year.
Oh, that's controversial.
Yeah. You can imagine that in another league.
Yeah, definitely.
By the minute. It's not the best of games really so far. Just expect a bit more from Brazil, but it's how this World Cup's been. You expect
the unexpected.
But I said before, Serbia have actually got a good team. So it's not going to be an easy game for Brazil, and it's showing that so far. So
it is. Right, so I'll talk about a little bit more. Our absolute legend there on the telly, Gilberto Silva. What a player! That's being biased, but yeah.
It's mad to think Brazil haven't won the World Cup for
20 years.
20 years, yeah. So crazy, isn't it? I think seen with that stature, I haven't won it for that long, but I suppose it shows how far it shows everyone else is catching up, really, or have caught up. So
so let's obviously the World Cup. I'll ask you both, and this might sound like I'm putting you on the spot, but obviously taking England out of the equation, who's your dark horses? Who do you think? Hang on, they've got a good chance here.
That is a tough one to spring on us, really. Dark horses to someone who's not necessarily a favourite to win it. I mean, I could definitely see a country like Holland going quite a long way. I know they didn't play well in their first game, but if you're talking dark horses, they're probably in that kind of second group of teams who might progress on to kind of a quarter or a semi-final. But it's difficult to say at the moment, really, because it's just a bit upside down. You know, we're watching Brazil, probably the favourites, only 0-0 at the moment. So difficult for. I mean, you'd have said that they would be there or thereabouts. France looked good in their game. Spain looked good in their game.
I was going to say Spain.
Dark horses, I don't know.
I was going to say, I'm not saying it because they beat Costa Rica 7-0, but Costa Rica, if you look at their historical performances in the World Cup, they've always been a country. They might get out of the group, but they push you, and they give you a very, very difficult game. So I was very, very surprised at the Spanish margin of victory. So I thought it would have been a lot closer than what it was. France.
They're not dark horses, though, are they?
They're not dark horses. No, they're favourites.
I know we haven't seen everyone yet, but from what I've seen, I don't think there's a clear favourite, because obviously, especially with the way some teams have played and a couple of the results already, I don't think you can say there's a clear favourite. France didn't look that good against the Aussies. Let's be honest.
No, but they ended up scoring 4, didn't they? But at 1-0 Australia, and they had that really good chance, didn't they, to go 2-0 up? They just went wide. And even at 2-1, they should have equalised. So, yeah, it could have been a different game. 4-1 was probably a bit harsh on Australia. But, you know, if you score 4 goals in your opening game, you'd take that every day, wouldn't you? So I'd throw another team in there who I was quite impressed with, Canada. Because how they didn't beat Belgium, I do not know. Belgium is supposed to be one of the best sides. They're ranked 2 in the world, aren't they?
Aging defence, haven't they?
Yeah, I just thought Canada looked quite sprightly and quite, you know, apart from the fact they couldn't score, they could have easily won that game quite comfortably. So I was surprised by them. Definitely Canada. I'd say a couple. I mean, Serbia. Serbia are decent. You know, they've got chances of getting quite deep.
Croatia was all right. They were. I mean, they probably weren't at their best, and they're relying on a 37-year-old midfielder to get them through games, which probably isn't brilliant. Although he's a pretty good, still decent 37-year-old, isn't he?
Pretty decent. And you can never look past Switzerland, because Switzerland always do. They always do well at tournaments, so that they probably wants to they're the ones that people want to avoid if they get through. Although they weren't superb today, they got the job done on the day, which is all you need to do at tournament. But yeah, I think the three best. I think the two best sides I've seen so far: England for sure, and Spain. I mean, Spain were just magnificent against Costa Rica. They were absolutely on fire.
And probably England, you'd have to class as a dark horse if you're not from England. We're not in that top. We're not in that group of favourites, are we? No, so we would probably be a dark horse.
So we're like fourth or fifth, aren't we? Favourites behind, obviously, Brazil, France, Argentina. But Spain have got to be right up there. After that performance as well, they really looked the real deal, didn't they? So
just quick bit of feedback. Thanks to those who are watching on YouTube, by the way, for the previous draws. Bit of a Zoom issue. Every time that I was reading, obviously, who was the teams, it was obviously showing up. It was diverting away from the wheel to me. So for the other draws, Rob, it'll be easy if you just.
Or what you two can do is just turn your cameras off. I think that'll leave me pinned on the screen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's fine. So we'll just do that, and then we'll let you do the honour. So thanks to April McGrath and Kasim for the feedback. We appreciate that. So thanks for letting us know, and we'll rectify that for the later draws. Yeah. So.
Just show the people who watch us, which is good.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, thanks. But we appreciate any feedback's good. Any feedback's good.
I know it is. Yeah, no, that's good. We don't know if we don't.
If you don't tell us, we don't know. But yeah, so for the later draws, we will do. Well, we'll let Rob. We'll turn our cameras off and let Rob do it because it'll just be easier. Okay. Well, now what we're going to do now is we're going to go a bit away from the World Cup for now, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about where we haven't been on air. We've missed quite a bit of it. We're going to talk about the FA Cup. Now, Pete, you absolutely love the Emirates FA Cup, don't you? It's your favourite time of the year.
Along with the Vase is one of my favourites.
Yeah, so...
Who doesn't like the FA Cup, though? I mean, everyone must, apart from the big teams in Premier League. But...
And there's some fantastic stories from the first round of the FA Cup. Teams like Alvechurch and teams like that. And it's just absolutely superb. We're going to talk about obviously the games that took place or will take place this weekend, and we'll start the early kickoff on Saturday, which I do think is a bit of a banana skin. This one, Pete and Rob as well. It's Kings Lynn from Pete's beloved Norfolk against Stevenage. Now, I know Pete's thinking, Norfolk side, I'm going to want them to do well, but yeah. Do you know what? I think that is a real banana skin. I know Stevenage are doing very well at the top of League Two, but Kings Lynn are doing very well in National North. So this has got banana skin written all over it, I think. And Kings Lynn have got pedigree, beating Doncaster in the last round.
Yeah. When I saw Kings Lynn play Walsall at home last year in the FA Cup, Kings Lynn were a struggling team in the National League, and Walsall were about mid-table League Two, I think, of their league. I can't remember what league they're in now. So this would suggest, and so now Kings Lynn obviously are doing well this year. They're going to have that winning mentality. So, and I said the game I went to last year, they nearly took Walsall to a replay. So it's FA Cup. You're just going to, when you got teams like this playing teams from League One, League Two, especially League Two. There's not really a lot in it, and I think the only thing that really makes a difference in the end is the fitness of the league, the football league side, in the last 20 minutes maybe. Because I think Kings Lynn. I'm sure they'll get a few fans there. Stevenage will bring a few because he isn't really that far from Stevenage, so it should be a good cup tie. But you probably expect Stevenage to win the game. Ultimately, but it'll be a tough game for them. They won't relish going there, that's for sure.
Hopefully, you might get a few Norwich fans down there as well, obviously, because there's no Premier Championship at the moment, is there? So
you'll probably get a few Norwich fans there anyway. So
yeah,
even if they were playing,
definitely. Rob, just ask you now, when you got two teams on a massive winning mentality, as both are at the moment, Stevenage doing very well in League Two, as I mentioned there, Kings Lynn. How does that affect the game when you got two teams with such a good winning mentality?
The thing is, though, will they carry on, bring their top side into this game? You just don't know. I mean, what is their priority? The thing is, everybody's priority in the second round should be potentially Premier League opposition in the third round. So it does seem strange that a side would consider dropping their better players. But ultimately, for me, it doesn't mean a lot, because in the Cup, potentially if you're going to a small away ground as well, where you're going to have a raucous home crowd, it really is a leveler. And I think at the end of the day, for Kings Lynn, it's their cup final once again, probably was in the first round as well. And, I just think that these are great occasions, and anything is possible. The fact that obviously the BBC agree, having that game live on TV as well, which is going to obviously earn Kings Lynn and Stevenage to a point as well an absolute fortune as well, which obviously is great money to help the club moving forward. But yeah, obviously on paper, Stevenage, there shouldn't be any contest. But if there wasn't any contest, you wouldn't have an FA Cup, would you? It wouldn't be the same. So you just know that it'll be a lot closer than the league placing suggests.
That 100%. Obviously, Stevenage will obviously, it depends as well. As you said, what kind of side they put out. I mean, they're fighting obviously still on three fronts. They've still got the league, the FA Cup, and they've got a nightmare Papa John's trophy draw, Chips Fratton Park. Yeah.
I don't even buy it. There's no way these teams, any teams in this round, have got a chance to get through to the third round and play ultimately a top Premier League or any Premier League side. There's no way you're going to rest players.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're going for promotion. You've still got all of next year to go through yet. So get your big money tie in the next round. I don't get this. Let's rest players because it's only a cup game sort of thing. I just don't. It's the FA Cup, for goodness sake. I mean, it's like, come on, for teams and the prize money at stake and everything like that. I just can't see why anyone would want to do that. But Rob's right. Teams do sometimes prioritise the league over everything else. I just think especially when it's the second round of the FA Cup and you've got a chance. Kings Lynn could draw Norwich at home, for example. Could you
imagine that?
Wow.
That's what I mean. Or they could draw Ipswich, or they could draw anybody. I mean, Ipswich are already in the round, you know what I mean? But they could draw. And imagine if they drew Norwich at home. I mean, that would be, for them, huge. It's like, it's their local derby. And they play them in pre-season every year anyway, and they get 2,500 for them. So it would be, it would be... I don't want that to happen because I do not want to be playing away to Kings Lynn in the FA Cup, because the last thing I want is to get beaten by them. But it's teams like Stevenage could draw, I don't know, a big team. I can't think of. I mean, Stevenage could draw Arsenal at home, and that's just down. I mean, it's.
I think they're under 21s the other night.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's that. Well, I'm not going to talk about that competition, but because it's a waste of time. But it's it's FA Cup. I just think it just saddens me that how some big teams have devalued it in their eyes because they just don't think it's big enough anymore. So I really hope these. I'm all 40 teams involved in these ties. There are 40, it is 20 games, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll be all out to try and get a third round spot and hopefully a big tie.
Also, for me, it's about momentum. If I'm a team who are doing really well, I don't think I'd want to break the momentum of potentially derailing a season, losing to a lower league side in an FA Cup tie, because that ultimately could affect their league form. That people's mindsets will change and things can change. So why if you're winning, stick to the winning formula as much as you can do and keep on going.
Why change a winning team? Exactly.
Definitely. The next tie involving an on-league club is more close. Ooh, good chance there. Side more closer to home. It's Accrington Stanley. Who are they? At home against Barnet, who narrowly beat Chelmsford in the first round replay. last week. So that's going to be another interesting game because Aki aren't doing too well in League One at the moment. So they could do with a cup run.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, sorry, Rob.
I mean, I think I'm gutted for Chelmsford. I think they come so close, didn't they, to that dream? I mean, I say dream away draw. I mean, Accrington Stanley away probably doesn't quite give them the thoughts of glamour, but ultimately that would have been a trip to remember, I'm sure. And so close to doing it as well. But I think for me, Accrington Stanley League One, it's the kind of game for Accrington Stanley who can actually reignite their season on getting a good result at this stage, because they're also one game away from potentially playing a very big side in the next round, and it may give everybody a bit of impetus to get going in the league, so it can kind of work in the reverse of the Stevenage situation. So I think for me, Accrington probably will have too much for Barnet in the end, but it's just such a shame not to see Chelmsford in that tie.
Yeah. You just said that could give Accrington the chance to reignite their season. Please do not jinx it, because we've got them in 2 weeks. So you know what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Now you said that. But yeah, Pete, I was gutted for Chelmsford, really. And they came so close. Well, but and I'm not just saying this because of where he's gone, but they've suffered a big loss this week, losing Charlie Ruff down to Havant and Waterlooville. So that is a big loss for Chelmsford.
Well, I didn't know that. That's a huge loss. That's massive. Yeah, Charlie Ruff's been on fire for them this season. But I mean, fair play to. I mean, I don't know why he's gone to. Well, I haven't. But they're still in the National League.
They're National League South, and they're second. And obviously, and he's a local boy as well. So, and obviously, I know that commute very well. Going down to Portsmouth,
it must be. Well, I'm only assuming Havant must be handing out some money, because why else would we go? Exactly. Well, there you go. Then. That's the reason. They won't admit to that, but I mean, why would you leave Why would you leave your? I mean, exactly. He's been on fire at Chelmsford. He's been one of their best players, and then he's now going. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but then I'm not him, so I don't know. But
Chelmsford, local boy travel all the way to Portsmouth every week. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Says that says everything, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm not going to say it's too controversial because I don't want to get in trouble. So. But that's the way the game's going, isn't it? Or has gone, shall we say? But Chelmsford were unlucky in that game. Chelmsford were the better team. They had plenty of chances, and they just couldn't put the ball in the net, unfortunately. And Barnet had one in, I think it was, because Barnet had gone down to 10 men at that point as well, haven't they? They had for a poor challenge, and he thought, Chelmsford have got to take this now. And but then Barnet scored, and they clung on for dear life at the end, didn't they? So
crowd of 3,000 plus as well.
3,015. Yeah, that was a great attendance. Not sure how many could see the game, but it's not the best crowd in the world. That's for sure. I'm just trying to annoy everyone tonight, I think. But I don't like their ground, because I just don't like athletic stadiums. So really, but it's I mean, Barnet got to have to lose, have they? They're going to go down there and give it all their all and see what they can do. But you'd fancy Accrington to maybe win, but it's one of those games Accrington haven't got anything. They've got nothing to win, have they? There's everything to lose. So it's a long trip for Barnet, though. That's for sure. But,
Definitely. Another non-league tie, or tie involving a non-league club, is the AFC Wimbledon versus Chesterfield game. This will be a lot more closer than people think, because I know Wimbledon are probably the form team in League Two at the moment, but Chesterfield are up there, aren't they, in the National League? So this is going to be very, very interesting.
This would have been my tie had I been doing my cup run.
Oh yeah.
And I am still thinking, should I get a ticket and go? But
you haven't done Plough Lane yet, have you?
I've not been to the new Plough Lane, so I'm thinking that could be a good chance to do it. But I don't know. I'll see how I feel. It's like, I'm saying that it's only in 2 days' time, so or less than 2 days' time.
I'm sure it won't sell out, but yeah.
Well, no, I wouldn't have thought so. Maybe Kaz can help me out. She's got a season ticket there, isn't she? So. No, I'll see. I might do it. I might not. I'll see how I feel. But that'll be a good cup tie. That, because obviously Chesterfield are one of the big boys in non-league, aren't they? So they will give a good. They'll give a good count themselves, no doubt, against a Wimbledon side in form, as you say. Yeah. So.
They will do. This is my story of the FA Cup so far, and this is going to be a monumental match. Forest Green Rovers versus Alvechurch. Now, Alvechurch, third from bottom of the Southern Premier Central, albeit played about 6 less games than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But what a story that is. That is an absolutely unbelievable story. Alvechurch beating Cheltenham, and they go to a Forest Green side who aren't exactly putting up trees in League One. They are struggling.
They won't pull trees up. They're all for green, aren't they? So.
Oh. Anyway,
they go and put over all their vegan stuff, aren't they? So.
Yeah, all my Portsmouth mates went there the other week. They were moaning like, "What's it?"
Well,
yeah,
that's what they want to do, isn't it? So.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is on BBC. It's going to be a time and a half.
That's after there's 2 games on Saturday at BBC, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest. I had to Google where Alvechurch was because it's not a name that springs to mind necessarily. But yeah, I mean, what a story. I mean, it's those kind of results that really do make you think the FA Cup is the greatest competition, because how was that ever possible? How was that ever going to happen in football? But it just shows you that a team, on their day, and those days may not come very often, but on their day, you can pretty much beat anybody. And obviously they proved it. So good luck to them, and obviously another money spinner in the next round with the TV money.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's like, I can't remember if it was true, but they're guaranteed a certain amount of money for being on TV, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. It's quite a lot of thousands. I know that much. So for a club like them, that'll set them up for years, probably.
And they're only a little village outside Birmingham as well, so we do wonders for the local community. Imagine if they get through.
Imagine they get through and get Aston Villa.
Or Birmingham.
Or Wolves. Or Wolves. I mean, can you imagine? That's what this is all about. And this is why I go hark back to how big it is for most teams who enter it. Because
would you say though, year after year, you're seeing less non-league teams get that far?
Yeah, I think is it 11 that got through to this round? 11, I think it's 11 sides. I think they were saying that I can't remember the exact figure, but it was close to the record amount getting through. But you've had other years when there's hardly any getting through. I mean, if they all got knocked out in this round, there's only one guarantee. I think there's only one all non-league tie, isn't there? The league. Yeah,
Wrexham and Farnborough.
And I mean Wrexham. Wrexham. I know they are technically non-league, but the amount of money they've got, they should be getting through, shouldn't they? So you'd hope that it isn't just one of them getting through to the third round, because you love to see, if you got 5, 6, 7 non-league sides in the third round, and they've all got a chance of drawing a Man City or an Arsenal or a Man United or any of those big teams. It would be that's what you love, isn't it?
One of my earliest memories is definitely Canvey Island playing Burnley, and I went up to Burnley to watch it.
Yeah,
and that was a great run to get that far in the first place. But just to watch Canvey Island play at Turf Moor, what an experience!
I mean, imagine Alvechurch going through playing at like Main Road. That's going back a few years, like Etihad, or a big Premier League ground, or even playing away to one of those Midland sides. It'd be memories that they will cherish for life. Yeah. It's something you just don't forget, isn't it? That's the pure magic of the FA Cup. That's what they talk about, isn't it? Fantastic.
One of your earliest memories, Canby versus Burnley. Who on earth was your dad supporting?
That is a very good question. As you know, he's a Burnley fan. Yeah. Often a closet Burnley fan, as we know. But we sat in the Canvey end, which obviously we had to do. But funny story, actually, we got lost in Burnley, as you probably can do if you don't know the area. So he put his window down and asked someone for directions. They said, "I don't know, mate. I'm from Canvey. I'm not from the area."
Yeah.
Of all the people you pick someone from Canvey to ask directions.
From Canvey, yeah, brilliant.
Oh dear. Yeah. So evening, Howard. By the way, if you're listening on your Alexa, bless him. But they've just got to go and go for it. By the way, you mentioned that your early memories of Canby, childhood memories of Canby playing Burnley. My childhood memory of Canby in the FA Cup was when they played Southend twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at the one at Roots Hall. It was live on ITV on Sunday, and Candy won. Southend won 2-1. It was a Candy home game, but it was moved to Roots Hall. And it was like 11,500 there. It was sold out. It was crazy.
Yeah, about 10,000 Southend, wasn't it?
It was 2.5 Candy there.
Oh, fair enough.
Roots was Southend because it was technically in Southend, but
they've had some massive results when you think about it. Canby with Brighton coming down to Park Lane.
Brighton,
Wigan beating Wigan.
Yeah.
Northampton, I think they beat Northampton as well.
Port Vale,
yeah.
They've
had some real.
Was that 4-4 and it was went to a replay and then
something like that? Crazy.
They won the replay up in Port Vale, didn't they? So Canby quite a big FA. They were quite a big cup side back in the 90s, weren't they?
In the Jeff King days where there was plenty of money there.
They always had a cup run, didn't they? So. My earliest, I didn't go to it, but I remember Woking when they won 4-2 at West Brom back in 92 or 93, and is it Giulio Grazzi or something? His Italian sounding name. He scored a hat trick, and I was amazed. I was like, oh my goodness, Woking had won at West Brom, and he just couldn't. And then they drew Everton in the next round, and it got switched to Everton because they couldn't play it. There were the days where they switched ties. You know, when Woking drawn at home to Premier League Everton, and they had to switch it to Goodison Park. And it only finished 1-0. Kevin Sheedy, the Irish player, scored, and it finished 1-0 to Everton. But yeah, that tie was stuck out in my mind when I was first sort of following the FA Cup anyway.
Yeah. Couple other non-league ties. Wrexham against Farnborough. That's going to be another interesting one. Wrexham were obviously hot favourites, you would say, to go through. Farnborough beat Sutton in the last round, so they've got it about them. So that will be another interesting game. One that later in the day that definitely stands out, and more from a local perspective.
Yeah.
And I really do fancy a shock. It will not so much a shock really in this one, is the Daggers against the Gills. Now, Gillingham really struggling at the wrong end of League Two at the moment against a Dagenham side, I think just outside the playoffs, I think, in the National League.
Yeah.
So it's a localish game, and it's got all the ingredients for that one, Pete, for Dagenham to pull off a cup upset.
Yeah, well, I saw Gillingham at Orient 2 weeks ago. And to be fair, Gillingham looked quite solid in the first half, but you could see a few cracks in the second half, and Orient started to get their game going. Gillingham were finding it tough. Dagenham got nothing to lose, so you know it's a 5 o'clock kickoff. I think that's because it's on TV abroad or something.
Oh,
wherever that might be. Yeah, probably. It's probably somewhere like Norway or somewhere, because Norway had a cup game on when I was over there on one of their channels. So it could be somewhere in Europe. It's probably Europe somewhere, but so that's a bit more exposure for them, and obviously a bit more money. And but yeah, I think Dagenham obviously will have nothing to lose in that game. They'll go out and try and cause an upset. If it's
there's only about 10 places between those sides in the league structure, isn't there? So
it might not be really classed as an upset. I mean,
and form wise, obviously Gillingham not great. Dagenham won the last 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's definitely one of those you wouldn't be shocked to see a shock.
Exactly. I mean, again, that's if I didn't do Wimbledon, I'd probably fancy doing that, but then I might not be able to get a ticket. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So okay. Sunday's non-league versus league ties. You've got Ebbsfleet versus Fleetwood Town at 12:30. High-flying Ebbsfleet hardly put a foot wrong this season. Again, against the Fleetwood side, who I would say aren't exactly putting up trees, but when it comes to it, they can grind the results out. As we've seen.
I bet everyone at Fleetwood's thanking thanking the people who arranged that at 12:30 on a Sunday. I mean, that's a pig of a journey, isn't it? I mean, you'd have to be staying overnight for that, surely. Because that is just, horrendous. That's not going to be ideal for the away team, but it's another. Well, of course, it's another banana skin. Of course, it is. Webster are flying, aren't they? So.
Yeah, but banana skin. But when you look at the 2.5 divisions between the two sides,
it shouldn't be an issue.
Shouldn't be any shock there, should there? But you never know. An informed team, National League South, who knows?
Yeah, there's a reason they're 2.5 leagues apart. You know, it's normally the league side will, if they play to their potential, will win the game. So, but it's how they apply themselves on the day. So. We'll see.
Yes. Okay. The other ties is Bristol Rovers versus Boreham Wood. That'll be another intriguing one. Boreham Wood having a great one last season to play in Everton. Be interested to see how far they can go this year. Burton Albion at home to Chippenham Town. Goal. Burton.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, sorry. Burton obviously against Chippenham. Chippenham shocked Lincoln in the last round. Burton are struggling, just got past Needham Market as well. So that's going to be another intriguing one. And then one I think of one of the biggest mismatches in FA Cup history at 5:00 on Sunday is Ipswich Town versus Buxton at Portman Road.
Buxton. Sorry. I said, come on the Buxton.
I thought you would have said that.
You look at that and you think, I got no chance against Ipswich at Portman Road, but we've said that before, haven't we?
Well, put it this way, if Ipswich played the way they did on Tuesday night for the last hour, Buxton have got a chance.
Yeah, but that was against you in the Papa John's Trophy or something, wasn't it?
5 teams that good. Well, Ipswich had a decent team out.
It's really hard to brace yourself in it for just when you go 2 down or 15. We're already 2 down. I don't know.
No, we scored 42nd and 92nd.
Just, I think if FA Cup is, I don't know, they're at home to a team who are miles below them in the pyramid, but so the pressure's on them, isn't it? They've got to start well. They've got, if they get an early goal, it could be an avalanche. But the longer it goes without them scoring, you just never know. The pressure does funny things, doesn't it?
Yeah. For those who weren't aware, Brazil won Serbia 0 with Charleston.
Yeah, it was tapping off to keep him out of save.
Yeah, so interesting there. One thing I will say as well, there's obviously, it's not only the men's FA Cup this weekend, it is the women's FA Cup second round this weekend. Just go for a couple of ties involving our region's teams. Ipswich Town versus London Seawood, the women's team I'm involved with. That's taking place at Felix Doe's Gold Star Ground. I was going to say, we're going down to Brighton.
I know. They're playing a housing estate.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine that? Yeah, Ipswich Town versus London Seawood. So yes, that would be an interesting time.
Yeah. Well, that should be fun. London Seawood team play at Wellham Lodge, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes.
And they should be good. Ipswich a good side, so it should be a decent match-up there.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Other ties involving our region's teams. Here's a real mismatch on paper here. Portsmouth against Bowers and Pitsea at Wesley Park. Good luck. Good luck to the Bowers girls. Can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, that will be really tough. And do you know what? The way Portsmouth have been playing, I'm not being biased. I fear for Bowers in that one because, that's going to be really tough for them, I think.
It'll be tough. It'd be a good day. It'd be a good day out for the girls, wouldn't it? They've done well to get to where they are now. Can I just, talking of London Seawood, can I just quickly mention Abby Dell?
Yes.
Because she has had an ACL injury on her knee,
Been out for the past year,
I was chatting to her at the Harold Hill game I went to because obviously she her and Billy were the game, and she got the news the other week that she was told she was never going to play football again. And I was really gutted for her because she's a really good player, really good striker, scored a lot of goals. In fact, she played with the injury for about 6 months. I think she didn't realise. I think that was it. So she still managed. I said to her, "What would you be like being fully fit?" But hopefully she'll get a second opinion and she will recover and play again, because I think that'd be a horrible loss for Seawood and obviously the game, and not good for Abby because she loves the football. So.
She's a lovely girl as well.
She is. She's a nice girl. So I just want to wish her all the best, and I hope she does recover from this ACL and is back playing, and hopefully the diagnosis she did get is a wrong one. So I just wanted to mention that. So
yeah, bless you, Abby. She's a great girl, and her and Billy's been really supportive of her as well.
So. Billy's brilliant. He's been really good with her, and Billy's a top guy. He's such a good guy, and she's in good hands there.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Just quickly, a couple of other local teams. Billericay, they're away to Wimbledon. That'll be an interesting game. And Dartford versus Hashtag. So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think both those two are doing well in the league this year, aren't they? Billericay and Hashtag. So, Hop maybe got another round or two in them, and who knows? They could be playing a real big one.
Yeah, the championship teams coming the next round. Yes, obviously, Dartford doing well in their league. Hopefully, they can breach the gap against Hashtag. No Dartford crossing puns intended. So that's the Women's FA Cup for you as well. In just a few minutes' time, we will be going on to the next draws for the Essex Alliance League Cup draws, and we're going to take a quick song break and we're back in just a few minutes. All right, hello again to our TV fans. Yeah. So nice, isn't it? That you can just sit on the sofa and just do this, talk about football. It's lovely, isn't it?
And watch the World Cup at the same time.
Yes. I'm watching that at the same time.
And watch a Brazilian player just fall over his own feet trying to shoot. That happens to the best of us.
Yeah, so
it's been a close game though. Well, it's not been too bad. But Brazil got the goal now, so we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Yes. All things are doing well with the Alliance League, Rob?
Yeah. Teams are progressing well. We had a couple of slightly weather-affected weeks in November.
Don't I know about it.
So hoping that doesn't repeat too much in the next couple of months or so. Lots of football still to be played, but no, progressing well. Be nice to have a little rest in 3 or 4 weeks' time, recharge the batteries, and go again in the new year.
It must be really full on running a league. Being part of a league, because you get all kinds of issues pop up, and
it depends on the nature of the role you're doing. But some of the jobs are literally everyday kind of things. You got to be on the ball. Games get called off on a Saturday. You kind of got to rearrange things the following week. So a lot of the roles are literally almost every day. You kind of got to look at respond to correspondence. Yeah, it's difficult.
It's a bit of a nightmare. It's a nightmare. So yes, we're looking forward to hearing more about the Alliance League later on in the show. Yes. Apart from that, Norway was good, Pete.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was fine. Sunny, chilly, normal, really. Bit windy at times. Just like everywhere else, really, I suppose. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
Did you get to a game out there?
No, I was good. I thought about going to one on the Sunday. I was there, the middle Sunday, but in the end I couldn't be bothered. So there's nothing riding on it. It was a Premier Division game between Viking and Odd, but neither team had anything to play for, and Viking had been on the worst run since May. I think May the 17th, they were top of the league, and then ended up finishing 11th. So that's just everything you need to know. So it didn't really, and it was like tickets were like 20, 35, well, the better tickets were £35 each, and I'm like, for a game that doesn't mean anything, I'm like, what's the point? So I didn't bother. But that was the only one, because all the other leagues are finished pretty much because their season's over now. So it starts up again in March, April time.
They got any hopes of qualifying for a World Cup anytime soon?
Well, if Erling Haaland has a good few games, they might, but they haven't got anyone really he's really their only world-class player, I guess. Not a bad one to have, but no, they're not. They haven't quite. I don't think the last time they qualified.
I can't. Can someone remind me who sung that song? I can't remember it.
All together now.
Ian?
The Farm.
The Farm, that was it. I know it was something down that, yeah. Or, you never know, there might be a bunch of Norwich and Ipswich supporters, Pete.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right, I mean, yeah, that'd go well.
Probably. Yeah. You're listening to GFS or watching if you're on YouTube. We are now about to allow Rob to do the live draws for the 3 remaining cup competitions. So me and Pete are going to mute and turn our cameras off, and we're going to hand it over.
You don't have to mute. You can still read what's on the screen, but if you turn your cameras off, it will hopefully pin my video.
Okay, so I will do.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the Division 1 Cup now. So 3 competitions still to draw out, including the 2 largest ones. So, Pete, are you going to take part in this one and read out some bits for me?
As long as is it not going to stick to my screen if I talk?
No, it's just gone to a black screen with Pete. So
it's not going I'll read it out. Don't worry, that's fine, no problem. Okay, so the teams in this draw are Atoll, Eagles Football, Forest Green, Ilford Reserves, Kansas London Sport, Newham Wanderers, Old Estamians, Redbridge Community, Renegade, Something from Nothing, and Unity. So without further ado, we'll draw out the sides for the first round. And the first team out is Atoll. They're straight through into the quarterfinals with that bye. And they will play the winners of the tie between Redbridge Community, who are the first drawn side out in that tie, and Ilford Reserves. So they'll play the winner of Redbridge Community or Ilford Reserves. The next team who will also get a bye through to the quarterfinals are Forest Green, and they'll be at home in that quarterfinal. And they will play Something from Nothing. So Forest Green there versus Something from Nothing in the quarterfinals. The next team will also receive a bye, and that's Renegade. Renegade there through to the home quarterfinal. And they will play the winner of the tie between Kansas London Sport. They'll be at home in the first round, where they will be facing initially Old Estamians. So the winner of Kansas or Old Estamians will play Renegade. The final team to receive a bye are Unity. So they're straight through into the quarterfinals. And they will play the winner of Eagles Football, who will play at home to Newham Wanderers. Hopefully you can see all of those ties on the screen there. Again, these will be up on the website at some point tomorrow if you weren't able to watch or listen live. Okay, we move on now into the Premier Cup competition, which is a larger competition due to the 2 divisions being combined. So in total, 21 teams taking part, which means we have first round and second round ties here to draw out. So without further ado, away we go. The teams taking part, just for the record: AEK London, Athletic Newham under-23s, Aveley under-23s, Barkingside under-23s, Chingford Athletic, Cowley Community, CSM London, Fairlop Rovers, Freetown, G7, Leighton City, London Cranes, London Park City, North East Lions, Priory Park Rangers, RCXI, Seoul, _United, Waltham Abbey A, Wanstead, and Wapping. Away we go. So we do the first round ties first, and the first team out are CSM London. They will have a home tie in the first round. And they will face in that first round Cowley Community. Familiar game. They only played each other at the weekend just gone. We move on to the next first round tie. And Seoul will have a home to draw there in the first round. And they will play Wanstead. Seoul there versus Wanstead. The next tie out is G7. And they'll be at home to RCXI. Barkingside under-23s are the next side out. They'll also be at home at Nutter Lane. And they will play Leighton City. And the next team out are London Cranes. And they will face AEK London. Tough game, that one. Okay, we move now on into the second round, so that these teams are through to the second round, straight through. And we start off with Freetown. They're through to the second round where they'll play CSM London or Cowley Community. Also through to the second round are London Park City. And they will play the winners of Seoul or Wanstead. Aveley under-23s are the next team in this draw. They have a home tie where they will be facing _United. Top game, that one. Next team through that is Priory Park Rangers, I believe. Test for the eyesight, that one. And they'll be away to the winners of G7 or RCXI. The next team out are last year's Cup winners, Wapping. They will be at home in the second round, where they will play Waltham Abbey. All the W's there. The next tie out, also through to the second round, is Chingford Athletic, and they will play the winners of Barkingside under-23s or Leighton City. Just 3 more to draw now. And it starts with Athletic Newham under-23s, who will have a home tie at Flanders. And they will play Fairlock Rovers, running high this season in the East Division. And of course, the last team out is North East Lions there, team number 14, and they will play the winners of London Cranes or AEK London, both of those teams being from the same division. Okay, we move now on to the final draw of the evening, which is the Senior Cup draw. We'll load up the teams into the wheel. 15 teams taking part in this one. This was an invitational competition being run midweek. Again, the draw dates will be out on the website tomorrow. 15 teams, as I say, midweek games to be played early in the new year. So we'll start off with the draw. The first team out is Brimsdown. Brimsdown at home. And they will be facing, in the first round, Frenford Development. The next tie to be drawn. Ooh, that one is, I think, Rapid Chingford, possibly. Let's just confirm that. Yes, was Rapid Chingford. And the next team out is FC Baresi, league leaders. Tough game there for Rapid. The next team out are Walthamstow Reserves. Home tie there for Adam's team. And they will be playing FC Petrocub. Tough task, that one. Good side, inform team. The next tie will see May and Baker reserves at home. And they will be facing Oakside. Okay, so one team will get a bye through to the quarterfinals, and we'll draw that team right now. And that is Sporting Hackney. They're straight through to a home quarterfinal. The next team out are Jollof Sports. They'll be at home playing at Barking. And their opponents will be Kit Out London. Two more ties to come. The first of those sees Lymore Gardens drawn at home at Coles Park. And they will be facing Woodford East. Wow, big game, that one. Woodford East will travel to Lymore Gardens. Dagenham United are the penultimate team to be drawn. They'll be at home. And they will, of course, play Blue Marlin, the final team drawn out. Hope that concludes the draws for this evening. Hopefully you can all see those. Just as a reminder, they will be up on the website at some point tomorrow, or you can watch back the recording, of course. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to Pete and Adam for hosting those draws for us.
Yes, you're very welcome. Just so it's a midweek competition, isn't it? So
it is a midweek competition, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So we look forward to seeing some great ties there. For those of you who may have missed it, Brazil 2, Serbia 0. Brazil have had multiple chances while Rob's been speaking to go 3 or 4 up, to be honest.
That Richarlison goal was something else, by the way.
That second one, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, it was wow.
Yeah. Serbia bought Mitrovic off now, so yes.
Well, Serbia. Brazil are absolutely battering him at the moment. I mean, it could be 3 or 4, as you said. Yeah. So after I said, it's a very close game, it's been anything but since then.
In the second half, see.
Yeah, Brazil have turned it up a little bit, big time. Yeah, so.
Definitely. So yes, some obviously, so all things going well with them with the Essex Alliance League. Then, Rob.
Yeah, we've lots of football being played, as I was saying in the break there. We've obviously had a bit of weather more recently, which has obviously slowed up a little bit of the progress. But a lot of teams are playing on 3G pitches, so it's not affecting too many games. But obviously, generally the worst of the weather normally comes in January and February, so we're primed for a bit of a slow up in the fixture list. But so far, so good.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and obviously there's one team that you mentioned there in that draw, Rob, was _United. They had a bit of an overscore this weekend, didn't they? Scored 17 against Freetown. Yeah,
they're really underlining their potential in that division there. A side who most will know as Belfry from last year. Most of the same group of players, and really are finding the back of the net on a regular occasion this year. So one of the sides amongst 4 or 5 in that division actually who are really pushing hard for promotion into Step 7.
How do you reckon they'll get on them? Do you think they've got a really good chance?
I mean, if you look at the record so far, I mean, they haven't yet played the top sides. I think they've played Fairlop, which is one of the sides in that group, but got some big games coming up against the likes of Averley, who they've now drawn in the cup as well. The likes of RCX side have still got to play. Chingford Athletic. So there's some big games. I think always the same in the senior division this year. I think the games between the top sides will ultimately determine who wins those divisions. Of course, it's not straight promotion. The teams do have to meet ground grading criteria as well before they go up. But I mean, they're obviously from a playing perspective, they've made a great start.
Definitely. In the senior division this weekend, obviously the sides in Step 7 has some interesting results. So I'll give you the scores from that one. Chadwell Heath Spartans 1, Dagenham United 1, Friendford Development 5, Blue Marlin 0, Kit Out London 2, FC Baresi 2, Oakside 1, Jollof Sports 2, Walthamstow Reserves 2, Brimsdown 3, Woodford East 4, Rapid Chingford 2, which means for the senior division, FC Baresi are top of that league with 11 points from 29. No, 29 points from 11 games. Yeah. And the only unbeaten side in the division, with Brimsdown relegated, obviously, from Step 6 last season, coming in second. Jollof Sports in third, with Sporting Hackney in fourth, Woodford East in fifth, Limmore Gardens. Do you think they might be a bit disappointed? Because they're probably expected a bit better. They're in sixth. Chadwell Heath, I'm surprised they're where they are, to be honest. Down at the bottom is Blue Marlin, the only side in the division without a win. They prop up the division with just 1 point, with a goal difference of -29, with Crooks United second bottom as well. Rob, how are you seeing the senior division?
I think the next 3 weeks are critical. If you look at the fixtures coming up, Baresi have got Lymore this weekend, and then they've got Sporting Hackney and then Brimsdown. So three of the top 6 in a short space of time. If they can come out of that with 2 wins and a draw out of the 3 games, you probably say that they are going into Christmas with certainly things in their hands. Anything else happens, I think it will close that gap up. It's very interesting. You've probably got at least 6 teams there, maybe stretching to 7, who are still well within in reach of things going on. But it is largely in Baresi's hands. They've made a fantastic start. Goal scoring ability undeniable. Scored 47 goals in those 11 games. So they made a fantastic start to the season. Next 3 weeks, I think, will be the key.
Yeah, I think it will. Pete, what's your thoughts on that division?
Baresi's goal difference is about 1 billion times better than anyone else's as well. The plus 37 goal difference, that might come in handy if things get tight, obviously. But yeah, that Baresi pretty much, as Rob said, the next few weeks sort of could define their season. But yeah, no, I mean, it's a very competitive league, isn't it? The top 6. I mean, there's only 9 points between them. So, you know, it really is a quite a competitive league, and yeah, there's a few surprises in there. I thought Chadwell might do better this year. They've only got 14 points from 13 games. So, FC Petra Club, actually, I think I saw them on the opening day. They won 5-0 at Yollef, didn't they? Well, it was one of the early games anyway. I mean, it's crazy, 5-0, but Yollef had a lot of chances as well. But that was surprising, considering Yollef are third at the moment. That's probably one of a rare defeat for them, wasn't it? I guess they've got 25 points from 11 games. So
yeah. I mean, even including Petra Cup. I mean, they made a big cup shock at the weekend, knocking out Hackney Wick out of the London Cup.
They won there, didn't they?
They won 1-0. They're definitely a side. I would say the top 7, just slightly edging ahead of the rest. I would say now. Frenford and Man Baker both got games to catch up on. You'd say top 7 at the moment. I think anybody can beat anybody on their day. So really going to be a really intriguing race for not only for the league title but also for promotion to Step 6.
Definitely. Okay, now let's go a little bit higher up the food chain. We'll start in the ESL, and obviously there's been results and developments in the last few weeks. Let's have a look at the top of the table. There, obviously, Enfield, top of the league, 33 from 13, 3 games in hand on second place. Redbridge and a better goal difference, 33 from 16. FC Claxon, definitely don't rule them out, 31 from 14. They've had a great start to the season. And West Essex have really been impressive as well, Pete, with 29 from 16. At the other end, we're going to have to say this. Southend Man are the only team in the division without a win after 16 games. Bottom, 2 points from 16, -40 on goal difference. Clapton, 7 on 7 points. We'll come to them shortly, but what I want to first talk about is a couple of managerial changes in the last couple of weeks since we've been away. Jason Mayer has left Saffron Walden, now 12th, by the way. And Saffron Walden actually lost 2-0 to Athletic Newham last night. He's left to take the reins at Coggeshall Town, who are bottom of the Isthmian North. Jason's done an unbelievable job at Saffron Walden, taking over from Stuart Waldie. He's done a really, really good job. He got really close to promotion, but just fell short. And obviously, we all wish him well at Step 4. Your your thoughts on Jason, because I know you know Jason very well. Your thoughts on his time there, and where do Walden go from here?
Jason done a really good job there. I just don't think it didn't quite work out, did it? I think last season's defeat in that playoff final to Wickham was a hard thing to take because they didn't perform on the day. They just didn't turn up after battling to get runners-up spot so brilliantly as well. After what they wanted a run of about 12 games unbeaten to get to that, and then they just didn't turn up on the day, which is a big shame. But you can't judge him on just that sort of thing. I mean, they were regularly at the top of the ESL when he was there, and it's a really good club, Walden, and they got the right people in the right places. And obviously, Stuart stepped down as chairman at the end of last season, and now Jason stepped down as manager. So it's changing times there now, and obviously 12th in the ESL. I mean, this season just hasn't worked out. They really threw a lot into it at the start of the season to try and get promotion, but it just hasn't worked. And unfortunately, Jason has decided to step down. Obviously, he's obviously stepped down and gone elsewhere. So he's managing elsewhere already. But his time, he was a good 9.5 years he had at Walden. So good tenure for a manager in this day and age, because a lot of managers don't even last a year, do they? In a lot of places. So
no, they don't.
To last that long, it's going to be strange for them not having him around anymore, because obviously he was part of the fabric. So, but I'm sure whoever goes, I'm sure that once they get a bit of stability again and get going again, they will push up the league. And well, they're not going to win the league. Unless they go on an unbelievable run and others suffer, they're not going to. But they should still end up in the top few places if they get settled down. But it's not been their season so far. That's for sure.
I was just going to say, ask that. We're going through the winter period now. I don't think they've appointed anyone permanently, have they? So is it a case of get someone in, lick your wounds, so to speak, and then just see out the season and then make a push for it again next year with someone?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously, issue number one: make sure you stay in the division, which I'm pretty sure they will. I don't think there's any way they could finish in the bottom two there. And yeah, like you say, just try and get a little bit of momentum into the end of the season. Obviously, at the end where there's things that are not going to get won, you could easily put a little run of 2 or 3 wins on the board at the end of the year, and potentially start the season afresh. The thing about that club, I've been up there a few times for Senior Cup. Great following. Lots of people who go and watch those games. For me, they're a club who probably are a league too low in terms of what their infrastructure is and the ground and the kind of following that they have. Very hospitable. So it's going to take them a little while. Find the right person. Don't rush into an appointment at this stage, and hopefully, they'll go again next year. I mean, I'm to say a little bit surprised with the move that the previous manager made with Coggeshall. As I understand, Coggeshall don't have the money there anymore, which is why they're sitting where they are in the Isthmian. I can see the glamour of moving up a division, but I'm not entirely sure that's much of a forward move. But at the end of the day, they are an Isthmian League side, and obviously it was an opportunity that Jason couldn't say no to. So yeah, I hope that Saffron Walden can just kind of ride out the storm a little bit and kind of get back to where they were last couple of years. Been one of the teams right at the very top. Probably missed out on promotion in the COVID season, or very close with Walthamstow and Hashtag, if I remember rightly. Not quite so good the year after, but always there or thereabouts in my head anyway.
Definitely. And obviously another manager and club we want to mention is Matt Carmichael, a little locally, and we want to send our best to him. He's had to step down this week as manager a little locally. Unfortunately, his wife's not very well, so we wish Matt and his wife all the best. But that's another huge void to fill, because Matt done an unbelievable job keeping the club in step 6 and then progressing them into the ESL and doing as well as they did last year as well. So that's another job with huge shoes to fill.
Huge. I mean, my goodness, I mean, they were what? They weren't. They were Essex and Suffolk Border not that long ago. They weren't even in senior football. So you know, for him to do what he's done there and to get them to be in with a chance of winning, having a chance to get to step 4 is unbelievable. I mean, they've got a really good side, and it's a big shame. But at the end of the day, football's immaterial when your partner's not very well, and you're someone you spend your life with. It just puts it comes first. There's no question, and I really, really hope that his wife recovers and they can to spend many more happy years together. Because I sent him a message the other day saying that, because you know, the job he did at Oakley is second to none. You know, some things are just more important, aren't they?
But potentially a bigger job on the horizon once he wants to come back into football.
Possibly, yes.
I think he deserves it as well. I think he deserves a chance.
But yeah, no, that's definitely a big shoes to fill after what he's achieved there. So hopefully for the club, because by the way, they're another club that are very, very friendly and very hospitable. When you go up, they couldn't be. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for me when I went to see them once, and it's just so appreciated, because you just think, you know, they don't need to do that, but they pull out all the stops for you, and they're a lovely club. So I really hope it doesn't hinder their success too much, because they're a good club, and you know, they deserve all they get. So.
And the only club, I believe, to have a post office in their ground.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yes, it's fantastic. It really is. So the boardroom thinks a post office in the week or something. It's brilliant. I love it. I love that sort. That's what I love about non-league football. All these little quirky things you get. But yeah, it's great. It's a lovely little club, and I hope they can get someone in who can continue to progress their status in the pyramid.
Definitely. Obviously, he when he took over, I think they were 5th from bottom of the Thurland under Division 1. And it was the year before it split into before we got our steps.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then obviously he kept them up. Then he made progress with him every year. So it's huge shoes to fill. Down at the bottom of the Essex Senior League, Pete, I think you can. Well, Southend Manor and Clapton are really cut adrift now, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get both out of it.
Clapton had a brilliant result at the weekend. They beat Buckhurst Hill, didn't they?
Yeah.
That came from nowhere. I don't know where that came from. That was an amazing result for Clapton. I'm pleased for Ross, because Ross has it's been a bit of a struggle for him. But they might galvanise them. They might get 2 or 3 wins, and you never know. Unfortunately for Southend Manor, I just don't know where their next win's coming from. Obviously, well documented what's happened there, and I'm not going to go over it again, because I've said my piece on it.
Have they got a new manager yet?
Yeah, I can't remember his name though. Someone not. It was. I think he was an under-18 manager somewhere. The problem is the people they've got in there at the moment don't. Well, I don't think I don't know this, but they don't know players, I feel, that are good enough at this level.
Is there much of a budget at Manor for playing?
That's why the last lot, and that Jerry cut the budget and then cut the budget again, and then left them with pretty much. He promised them the world, and he didn't deliver, basically. And then sacked them by text, but that's another story. So
and plus, of course, they're in an area. I mean, being Southend, where there's a lot of other footballing options for players, aren't there?
It is. They've put up a good fight in some of their games. Don't get me wrong. They haven't been absolutely destroyed in every game. You know, they have been. They put in some good. I mean, they put in a good performance at Redbridge. You know, they were 2 down quite. They were well out, but they came back, and it was only 3-2 before Redbridge got a late goal to make it 4-2. You know, they are showing signs of maybe getting somewhere, but I just don't think they've got. But the quality just isn't good enough. Or it doesn't seem to be good enough. And they just, you know, they need time, but I don't think that they haven't got time. Unfortunately, they're going to. I just don't see how they're going to get out of it anytime soon. I hope, pray that they'll pick up some points. But how many points are they behind third bottom now? It's like
13.
13.
Yeah, 13 points, and they've had what? 15, 16 games now. So that's what, nearly halfway through.
Effectively 14, you could say, if you count the goal difference.
So, they've got it's not looking good. Let's put it that way.
But surely, in the position they're in, the right thing is that they do need to be relegated. They need to rebuild, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's worked with a few clubs, like Burnham Ramblers, for instance. We've gone down a league. It's a couple of painful years that follow potentially, but it can be the shoots of something new, can't it?
You'd like to think so, yeah. I mean, sometimes one step back, 2 steps forward, sort of thing. But they just need stability there. They haven't had that. There's been no stability at that club for years since Russell Faulkner and the likes were managing there.
Oh, Wesley, yeah.
Well, Wesley, the chairman, before he left and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. I'm a bit despondent with the situation there at the moment. I don't know the team. I don't know the managers or the players at the moment. I don't really want to say too much about them because I don't really know the type of players they've got there now. But and I haven't seen them since that day the others got sacked. So I can't really comment too much about the team now. But it just seems to me there's a lot of, I don't know. It's more upheaval. It's more instability, and you just can't succeed when you've got that at a football club. So hopefully they'll turn it round and they can get out. But I think they've just got too much to make up now. Because other teams will pick points up as well at some point.
Yeah, I think they will. Obviously, it's sad to see that you got 2 clubs there in the relegation place in the bottom 3 with 90 years combined ESL experience with Sawbridgeworth and Southend Manor. And
because Sawbridgeworth, they surprised me to start off with, but they've slipped right back down in there now, haven't they? But after a decent start. Luckily for them, they've got 8-point buffer at the moment. So it'll be a shame for them if they did end up. You didn't want to lose them after the seat last year when they stayed up on the last day.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Exactly. Okay. Well, let's have a look at the third line on Division 1 South. Intriguing division there. Stanway Pegasus lead the way, 36 from 19. Brentford, second place. Brentford, 3 games in hand and 2 points behind on 34 points. Benfleet third, 32 from 18. Burnham, 31 from 18. Wormley, 29 from 16 in 5th. Parkview are doing very well, 29 from 17, I must say. And down at the bottom, Coggeshall United cut adrift there, struggling a bit as well. But there's been some games in recent days. We just want to wish as well Aaron Waters all the very best, as the Tower Hamlets Basildon game was abandoned last night due to a serious injury sustained by Aaron. So we wish him well and hope he's okay. Basildon Town were leading 3-0 in that game. But it sounds like Burnham and Stanway Pegasus was an absolute corker of a game on Tuesday with Stanway doing a bit of an Aguero moment, you could say, or I like to call it
Burnham winning going into injury time, weren't they?
Or as I call it, Pompey's traditional game against Exeter, 2-1 down in stoppage time, coming back to win 3-2. Stanway go top. So and it's intriguing. At the bottom, it's very, very intriguing as well. So you've got Coggeshall down there. But if you look between 14th and 18th, which is Newbury Forest, Cannonswood, North West London, Hackney Wick and Wivenhoe, there's only 3 points separating those 5 teams. So down the bottom there is very interesting. Just quickly, Rob, I'll ask you about this. Cannonswood come up. They've had an awful start to life at step 6. They've got better as time gone on, a bit better. They're now off the bottom. But they're still within. They're still in trouble. But they've got better players. Certain personnel have returned to the club, as we know, and has been publicly documented. So yes, do you think they can survive?
Well, based on what they've got in the side now, yeah, absolutely yes. I mean, this is more the kind of side we would probably be expecting to feature for them this season. Obviously, they had a big turnover of players pre-season change of manager, which obviously changed a lot of the things, and they didn't start well at all. I watched their very first game where they got beat by Man Baker, and they looked well off the pace that night. Indiscipline, I think, has cost them a lot of the time in the early fixtures, a lot of red cards. But they definitely now, when you look at the run of results they're on, they've changed things around. I would say that any side in the top half now won't want to play Cannonswood because they know that they're going to be in for a tough game. But as Burnham found out last weekend, I think when they drew 0-0. So they definitely have more in the locker now. Experienced players in that side. You look at the team there, and they've got players in there who have played step 5, step 6 regularly previously. So they've got a bit of a backbone now. And I think it's too early to say this, but I can see them finishing fairly comfortably mid-table now, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Pete, your thoughts?
On Cannonswood or general?
General.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of the leagues again, isn't it? Where you always get a surprise at the time. I mean, yeah, Parkview. I mean, Parkview last year were actually they had a performance in them. They were quite competitive, but then they would switch off for 5 or 10 minutes, and that would normally cost them. So this year they seem to have eradicated a lot of that, and they're actually in a really good position. Well, they're level with the playoffs, so that's a pretty decent surprise. And obviously the new teams that have come in, Basildon Town and Stanway, they've hit the ground running, haven't they? Really. I'm pleased and surprised at the same time, both for Tower Hamlets and Sporting Bengal as well, because I really thought they would struggle, especially after the first game or two. But those two have really turned it around well, and also with Sporting Bengals running the Vars as well has been superb into the third round. Quite an achievement, I must say. But it's been Withernoe, and with obviously things happened at Withernoe that I didn't know about, because they were a very good side last season, and this season they've just been well off it, haven't they? So
don't know what's happened there.
It's probably personnel change and stuff. It must have been, and Cannonswood, as Rob alluded to, they've changed things now, and obviously people have come back and whatever and whatnot, and they're a far better team than they were early in the season. That's for sure. I mean, they lost their first 6 games, didn't they? But they've made changes, and they're probably a much better team than where they are in the table now. That's for sure. And you don't want to be playing them at the moment. Although that issue with the pitch when they were against Sporting Bengal was an absolute farce. It obviously hadn't been. It only just been relayed, and it wasn't up to football. I know. Really, there was an awful lot of rain on it. I mean, the rain was biblical. So, but still, that should not be happening with a pitch like that.
Well, that same night, I was out. I was watching Romford versus someone in the Essex Senior Cup. Oh, Waltham Abbey, and Maysbrook Park. I was in that rain, and it was really hard. But no issue at Maysbrook Park on that pitch. So I can only imagine. Some the drainage differs, I guess, on these new surfaces, doesn't it? And they have like a soak pad underneath them, as I understand. But I mean, we had on that weekend, I had a Sunday game called off on a 3G pitch for a waterlogged pitch, and you just don't. You say they're all weather, but really they're not, because if you get that much heavy rain and in snow, you can't use them either, because you can't brush them. So it
ruins them if you brush them, snow off it or something, ice or whatever it is. But
that rain was biblical last week.
I mean, to be fair, you can't legislate for the sort of rain they got, but I mean, it just sort of I don't know who spends the money on that pitch. Doubt it's Harlow Town. It's probably a community thing, but it's a little bit. It's disappointing, especially when you go to play a game on it and it can't hold up. But it was a little holes in it. Is what there were sort of dents in it, wasn't there? as well. So I don't know. I know it was obviously being laid, but
In fairness, it was well due being relayed. That old surface was probably the first 3G that I can remember in Essex, honestly. So
if you think about it, when that was first laid, there was still, I don't even think 4G existed. It was quite a long time ago, and that was the original one because it was very worn. It was showing its age, shall we say. But yeah, I mean, going back to Cannons Wood, yeah, I mean they're definitely not a bottom half side at the moment the way they're playing. So, but you know, it's going to be interesting. I mean, trying to predict who's going to get in the playoffs is like trying to solve the mystery of the universe. Because there's so many teams that could probably get in there.
And what is the promotion? What is the structure this year for promotion from 6 to 5?
Same last year.
It'll be 2 down and 2 up, I guess. Yeah. So winners of the playoff will go up.
Winners plus playoffs. Yeah.
Winners plus playoffs, and then hopefully not the losers of the playoffs as well, like it was last time.
Who knows?
But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. You look, there's literally all the way down to 12. There's 5. They're only 12 for only 5 points off the playoffs. So it's a crazy league. It's a great league to cover because it's just so unpredictable. You get quite a few entertainment. I mean, that Basildon Sorbo game, Basildon St Marksby game the other day, it was 4-3 at half time, wasn't it? It was a mad mental game. You do get games like that in the in that division, so it's quite entertaining to watch. It's probably not so entertaining for people involved, but it's been like that. It's been like that ever since that league came into existence. It's just been there was teams from all kinds of places all put together, and it was like you didn't know what you were going to get.
Over the course of a few years, though, it was always going to straighten out, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah. But it's still a mad league. It's like the championship of this region, isn't it? Where you just like everyone beats everybody. But an interesting league, and I mean, who knows is going. I think fair play to Stanway because they did go on a bit of a bad run. It's probably their first bad run for about 3 years or more because obviously last year they didn't lose a game. So that would have tested their character because they wouldn't have been used to that.
I've seen them play at least 4 times this season, and every time I've watched them, always on 3G. But very, very impressive side. They moved the ball very, very well, and they have adapted very, very well, haven't they? I mean, they've obviously played a few more games than everybody else now, so they'll have a couple of quiet weeks coming up where others might catch up. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely looking like one of the favourites for a playoff spot at least, aren't they?
Brentford, that should surprise me because they've been sort of in no man's land for a couple of seasons, but they've really turned it on this year, and they've got 3 games in hand over Stanway, so you know they could be 5 clear by the time if they won their games in hand. I know that's not, so no more than 5 clear, so 7 clear, but then. That's a dangerous thing to go if they win their games in hand because they might not. So
exactly.
You know, I'm pleased with Forbesy because he's a great guy. So I'm glad. I'm pleased they're doing well this year, and obviously Benfleet being a local team to me and you, Rob.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get over last season's disappointment and actually win their playoffs. And obviously, I'd like Burnham as another local team, and they're a great club. And obviously, since losing Martin, hopefully they can give him a brilliant, a nice little present and a promotion. Because they're in the midst of about a dozen teams that have probably got possibility of going up. So you know, it could be anybody. Literally, you can't predict it.
True. Okay, just before we go this evening, a bit of a interesting story to end the show. Non-league team AFC Crew, who play the 15th tier of English football, have made the first official bid for Cristiano Ronaldo, offering them former Manchester United player eye-staggering, eye-watering £35 a week. It says here, if Bernardo accepts their contract off, he'll become their highest ever player, earning 21p every hour. The figure equates to £1,480 a year.
It might have gone up to £1 an hour after today.
Yeah.
Sorry, as I score his penalty.
Oh,
It's funny. There was that one. Was it Ashton United?
Haaland, yeah.
Haaland, weren't they? Yeah. I was surprised. Oh, why not? Might as well try.
As I understand, some of the Premier League teams are playing friendlies, aren't they? So I guess that's why they would never entertain that kind of thing happening. But
it's just funny to see him do it. Because I think it's cheeky but quite funny.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Right, well, that is about it from the Grassroots Football Show on East London Radio for this week, and obviously on YouTube as well. Rob, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for letting us do the cup draws again.
Yeah, thanks for letting us come on as per usual. It's always great to get the show involved.
Yeah, and obviously we'll see you later on in the season. Ian, thanks very much. Glad you got your system sorted this time.
You're welcome.
Good. Is Haroldwood Park still flooded, or can you tell by your garden?
Yeah, they're going to be swimming if they try and play football.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are, yes. And Pete, thank you very much.
You're welcome. No problem. Thank you.
Yes. We're back next week. Guests to be confirmed, but we'll be back regularly now. Obviously, now all the logistical issues have been ironed out. But yes, from us and from all of us on the radio side of things, Ian, please stick around quickly for a second.
Okay.
For everyone else, we'll speak to you and see you next week. But for now, good night.
Night.